Hello, welcome everybody to another edition of Dueling Grounds. My name is Francisco, and with me is, of course, the one, the only, the man, the legend himself, Tom Metelsky. How you doing, Tom?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Oh, dude, I can't wait. So, in this edition of Dueling Grounds, we thought and we actually asked the community for some suggestions as to what would be some nice topics, some nice themes for us to have. And one that we loved was Tribal Wars. So that is exactly what we're gonna be doing today. And we, of course, we didn't want to do like elves versus goblins, like. That's tier 1 decks. Like, that doesn't matter. So we wanted to bring on the spice for today. And boy, are we delivering. So we're gonna be playing Slivers versus
Red Green Beasts.
Holy baby. I can't wait for this. Oh, this is gonna be sick. Alright, so let's get things started. Let's take a look at what the Slivers deck looks like.
Man.
Alright, baby. This is what we're looking at right here. 5-color Slivers. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to, I'm sorry I don't remember who it was, but somebody in the Discord who I stole this idea from, and I looked at this deck list and I was kind of blown away. So we have all the cool slivers. We have the best sliver ever printed, arguably, which is Crystalline Sliver. Then we have Muscle Sliver, which is the Anthem Sliver. We have Wing Sliver to give all of our slivers flying. We have Plated Sliver to kind of just feel the curve. That's really all that it's doing this one. But it makes all of our dudes a little bit more buffy. Talon Sliver, which gives us first strike. Hibernation Sliver, which is probably the single. I was gonna say single most annoying sliver, but like Crystalline Sliver obviously is a lot worse. But pay to life, return this permanent to its owner's hand, so effectively making all of your slivers even more uncounterable, more unkillable than they were. So this means you can beat spot removal. This one means that you can beat sweepers. And finally, 3 copies of Blade Sliver, which is the one that buffs all of our attacks. So, unfortunately, a lot of slivers have been printed since then, but a lot of them were printed many years past pre-modern. So these are some of the best slivers that we have access to. What I liked about this deck is that it was also playing some legit good cards, right? Like, it wasn't just filled up with like, let's just jam a bunch of slivers and let's just hope that everything lines up well. No, we actually have 4 Swords to Plowshares, 4 Portent to help with the deck's consistency, and 3 Lightning Bolts as our removal spells. Then we have 3 copies of Counterspell, we have 2 Disenchants, and then to round things out, we have a couple of copies of Share the Triumph, which is 2 mana Hymn for all of your, your creatures of 1 type. So this is a very cool and very diverse in kind of overarching spell suite, which means that we kind of have game against a little bit of everything. Like, we're not going to be caught pants down against anything. And we also have access to Portent, which is going to hopefully smooth out our draws. How are we going to be casting all of these cards with all of these different colors? Well, we have a very should I say masterfully built mana base, because this is a thing of beauty right here. We have 4 Gemstone Mine, 4 City of Brass. These are the painful ones. These are like your classic 5 mana, your rainbow lands available that you will see more often in pre-modern decks. So Gemstone Mine and City of Brass. We also have 3 copies of Reflecting Pool. This one you also see in decks like Angry Hermit and stuff like that. This is a nice one as well. Obviously, it's not great when it's the only one that you draw, but hopefully it's not going to be that awkward. We also have Undiscovered Paradise, very commonly seen in decks like Parfait and stuff like that. But here we're just using it fair. We're not trying to enable tax track or anything like that. No, this is just playing it fair just to get the mana that we need. And then we have Thran Quarry, which honestly, it's a card that I had completely forgotten that it existed until I saw it in this deck list. Because I don't think there's any deck in pre-modern that uses this land, is there?
I think it's only slivers, honestly, and it makes complete sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that many 5-color creature-based decks that can take advantage of this. And not only that, but like, if you play a Crystalline Sliver, you're kind of good to go, right? Like, you don't have to worry about your Thran Quarry ever needed to be sacrificed. So that's very cool. We also have, rounding things out, a couple of copies of Adarkar Wastes and a couple of copies of Dromar's Cavern. Dromar's Cavern, also a very, very interesting one because it combos really well with Gemstone Mine. So before your Gemstone Mine runs out of counters, you actually get to pick it up, bring it back to hand, and then, just keep using it, which is very, very cool. The sideboard is also very, very interesting. I'm going to do a little bit of a disclaimer here, which is the fact that in the original sideboard, there were a couple of Engineer Plagues, but these being Travel Wars, it was kind of unfair to have Engineer Plague in the sideboard, so we wanted to make sure that it was going to be, as great of a match as we can make it happen. So I ended up cutting those 2 Plagues for the 4th copy of Lightning Bolt and a Diabolic Edict, just to have access to some more removal, which is what I would be playing in those slots. But yeah, Engineer Plague is probably better than both of these cards. But yeah, so to round things out then with the sideboard, we have 1 Tranquil Domain, 2 more copies of Disenchant as a way to round out our enchantment removal, artifact removal suite, 3 copies of Hydroblast / Blue Elemental Blast, 2 copies of Pyroblast / Red Elemental Blast. I don't think these need too much explanation. These are fairly straightforward. We also have 3 copies of Duress in the sideboard, and then finally 1 Worship and 1 Essence Sliver to round things out in this beautiful 5-color sideboard, every single color represented. You love to see this, man. You love to see this. What are your thoughts on the list now? Like, when you see it in front of you.
Honestly, it's exciting, and one thing I really like is like Wing Sliver, right? Like it's the best evasion spell, like flying, basically. So most decks can't beat that, and I think the plated Sliver helps also against Engineered Plague, right? If you're playing against a black deck, they're going to bring that against you, named Sliver. So that's like a little added protection. And then Shared Triumph, that card doesn't see enough play, but it just fits the mold of what Slivers wants to do. You want to go wide and make sure that they're big enough to keep attacking and be bigger than everything else. I'm excited. I just think Slivers is it's good, and I want to see how it plays out. The only thing I'm curious about is like maybe I don't know if Counterspell, like I guess we'll see maybe how it plays out. If Counterspell is like maybe being too reactive. But what are your thoughts on Counterspell? That's one thing that just like stood out to me.
Yeah, so the original list also had some copies of Duress as well, I think, over the Shared Triumph, I think, or over something else. I can't remember exactly right now. But so the idea for Counterspell was making sure that you can slow the combo decks down, because those are going to be very, very hard to race. Unless there's something like Angry Hermit where, you can just draw your Swords to Plowshares and you can probably be okay. That's a way to slow them down enough to give you time. But if you're playing against Replenish, for example, you're kind of getting owned, Unless you have Crystalline Slivers so they can't target your stuff with Parallax Wave, eventually you're just going to get run over. So because of that, I wanted to have access to some form of way to slow whatever my opponent was doing a little bit. And funnily enough, like I was going over, okay, I'm just going to play Mana Leak to make it easier on the mana or whatever. Well, actually, all 20 of my lands produce blue, so...
Totally makes sense.
Yeah, Counterspell is like strictly better Mana Leak with this mana base, which is very, very funny.
I just can't wait to see it in action. I mean, the deck looks awesome, and yeah, I mean, who can't root for Slivers until you run into the beasts?
Oh yeah, baby.
All right, so here is Green-Red Beast. So it might look like a pile, but the deck has actually got some game to it. And I'll start with where I wanted to start was when me and Fran had this idea of Tribal Wars. I was like, just Beast popped in my head. There was 2 reasons. One was the enchantment Aether Charge. So sure, it's 5 mana, but I'm complementing that with Rampant Growth. And a whole 4 of them. Rampant Growth is a card in pre-modern I think doesn't see any play. But hey, maybe this is a shell. I don't know how good this Beast deck really is, even though I think it has game, but it fits into what it wants to do. You want to ramp up, get Aether Charge into play. It's not your main win condition because you can just run people over with Overrun and stuff. But Aether Charge is another win con. And then to complement Aether Charge, we got 8 1-drop beasts. So once you get Aether Charge in play, these aren't really doing much except for dealing 4 damage. I have 1 Sylvan Library, so just against control or to get a hidden card advantage, the deck kind of can run out of steam. And then along with that, I have a Wirewood Savage. I'm not sure if one is correct, but it's not a beast, so I don't want to go too off theme. But I think if you were gonna maybe make this a little bit more mainstream, maybe 3 would be correct, just so you can draw cards for each beast that you play. And then the thing that makes it all work is Croson War Chief, right? If Goblin War Chief is good, then this thing's got to be good. So you can make all of your beasts cheaper, and just go wide and overrun the opponent. Got to play Ravenous Baloth because the card's just good and all amazingly a beast. And if you're playing against like a burn deck or a slide deck, you can use his ability to gain some life. One Blastoderm, Ridgetop Raptor. I remember this was like one of the first cards spoiled from the Legion set. And come on, I think it might be the first card with Double Strike too, Fran. I'm not sure if you remember, but come on, how exciting is that to see that in a deck list?
Dude, like I have no idea what half or more of these cards do. Like, I'm just so like I do remember Lacolith Whelp. I didn't remember like this name.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Like, I think this was one of the few cards that I had. Like when I was recent, I had like a couple of had these. Like I still have them with me. They're very well loved. But I don't know what half of these cards do.
Most people won't, because some of them aren't even playable in limited. But the next one is like where we curve out is a 6-drop Gortusk Fire Beast. So when it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to target player. That's your Flame Tongue Taboo for Beast. Again, if you want to go more streamlined, you can play Flame Tongue here. Barkhide Mauler. So this one cycles. So if you're flooding out a little bit, it can cycle for you. Histrodon. So this card, people have argued that it could see play in the Rock. I think it's maybe not good enough, but hey, when you're playing Beast Tribal, it's definitely good enough. And here's a couple that you might need to take a look at. So Branch Snap Lorien, 3 mana 4/1 with Trample.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, because like, you actually brought back some very serious. You can see these minty, of course, copies of Istrodon right here. I don't know if you can see them in the camera.
Nice, man.
You see that? So I have good stories with this one for sure.
I mean, the card's awesome.
Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
No, it's all good. I'm moving fast here also, like everyone knows what these cards do, but Branch Snap Lorien, right? The 3 mana 4/1 Trample. It morphs, but I was telling Fran I made like a good maybe and bad list. Branch Snap made the maybe list, and it's on there as a one of. Here we have another one. Megatherium. So 3 mana 4/4 with Trample. When it enters the battlefield, you have to sacrifice it unless you pay 1 for each card in your hand. So hopefully it's not a big cost, right, if you're unloading your hand. Hunting Moa. This card's actually better than maybe 1, but I kind of wanted to like split things up and just see how they go. But 3 mana 3/2 when it enters the battlefield or it dies, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature. So it's not bad. Longhorn Fire Beast. When it enters the battlefield, any opponent may have it deal 5 damage to them. If a player does, you sack the Fire Beast. So it's not bad, but it actually works out pretty well with Aether Charge. And then who doesn't love a deck with Fires of Yavimaya? So I just think this fit pretty well. I know, Fran, we talked about like just making this a survival deck, but I just want to change it up a little bit and put fires in. And the curve is pretty nice. Mana base, nothing special except for the one Guy's Cradle, which it's just a broken card and it can get out of hand and do a lot of things. But Contested Cliffs. So when I decided to go with Beast, I was like, all right, this card sees no play. It's awesome, right? And it'd be good for like a Tribal Wars kind of thing. So you're going to be involved with creatures. So it'll have some merit there. Then with the sideboard, 4 Lightning Bolt, 2 Pyroblast, 3 Naturalize, a Stealer Resolve to protect your beast, another Ravenous Baloth, a Crypt. Triangle of War is doing a nice impression of Contested Cliffs, but as for an artifact. And then the card that makes the deck all come together. Thunder of Hooves. 4 mana sorcery. It deals X damage to each creature without flying and each player, where X is the number of beasts on the battlefield. Fran, I know I said I didn't want to spoil that card, but what do you think of that one?
So I mean, you could have Pyroclasm, but you wanted to go the extra mile. So I
Course,
appreciate that. I
of
really
course.
I really.
Yeah, I think this deck can be more streamlined, right? You can like your green red survival list is just miles ahead of what this deck is doing. But if you want to have fun in pre-modern, this kind of thing is where it's at, right? Either slivers or like beast or just like some random tribal stuff. But look at this beast deck. Like, how do you not get hyped up? I told Fran earlier before we started recording, it just makes you feel like a kid again. Like, um, you're just like, who the hell? Like, I'm about to cast a Longhorn Fire Beast. Like, I haven't done that since I was honestly like 11 years old. Like, I just can't wait to do this. So,
Dude.
and in testing though, the deck is 1-1 for the record.
Ooh.
I beat someone playing the Rock. I think this deck could be a challenge for a mid range deck. But the deck is 1-1, so I'm hoping I can put over 500 after our match.
Yeah, this one looks very. I do think that you were probably better off just making a anger deck instead of
Yeah,
fires, but yeah, I mean contested cliff. That card is anger. I kind of want to have more, honestly. I kind of want to be playing like two or this card is such a. But honestly, I'm surprised by how not terrible some of these beasts are. Like the
right.
honest like his Showdown seems honestly legit. Like if I were to build this deck, I would play like 2 copies. The same is true for some. The hunting Moa is. I never had read this card before, honestly. I'm just like, wait, what? You buff 2 dudes? That's okay, okay. Particularly if you give this bad boy haste. Now we're talking, you know?
Absolutely. Like, fires into that is definitely good. The one downside, obviously, annoyingly, I don't know what they were thinking, but it had echo. I kind of wish that was never like a thing, but yeah, whatever. Can't fix it now. So
It's cool. We'll fix it in post. But
yeah,
yeah, no, definitely looking forward to this, man. So hopefully you folks are ready because it's gonna get spicy. All right, it's time for the moment of truth. What do we have here? We have some good slivers, and we also have some portent action. All right, I think I'm gonna keep this hand. I think it's extremely important for us to hit our land drop. So even though I'm gonna be taking probably a pretty significant amount of damage from this City of Brass, I'm still gonna go for portent. Hopefully we find a painless source that can allow us to deploy our stuff in time. So Tom keeps 7, and let's port. Thran Quarry is nice. Yeah, all of these are just perfect. So definitely want to go top, 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 and send it back. So it's gonna be a little bit greedy to. I guess he doesn't have removal, so I can exploit the fact that I know the deck list. So I can just go turn 2 play Muscle Sliver and know that it's not gonna die because he doesn't have main deck removal. Let's play Muscle Sliver and send it back. Obviously, post Cyber we're gonna have to be a little bit more careful because we can get our boy bolted. So now we actually have a very interesting question. Do we want a portent looking for another land? I think I do. I think I want a portent myself and play plated sliver. Yeah, these are great. So let's go. Okay, we're gonna go. I think I want to go Talon Sliver, plated sliver, and then Paradise. And now we're gonna play plated sliver, taking significant amounts of damage, but it's fine. It's fine. So next turn our dudes are gonna be flying, which is nice. We have some nice removal spells. Yeah, we kept the one lander with double portent, but obviously City of Brass is is doing us dirty. So he plays it for Carplucent Forest and then Balon. So we can either go. We're drawing first strike sliver, so I can go to 16, then 14. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna play Wing Sliver and just hold up Source of Plowshares. So now my dudes fly. I think we passed the turn. The argument for main facing there is they can find the land, the fight land, and I can get blown out. But yeah, this is one of the threats that I'm most scared about. So I'm happy to Source to Plowshares. Wirewood Savage. Undiscovered Paradise comes back. I think I'm going to just aggro him here. I don't think that him drawing cards really hurts. I think that trying to aggro him out is the way. he can't get through this unsurmountable army of like random slivers. I just don't think he has the time to start like drawing cards with Werewood Savage, and this Bolt can just go face next turn to give me lethal, just a 1-turn clock. So he taps 5 mana. Wow. Well, should I just disenchant it to make him feel extra bad? I think I'm going to. just the blowout. Bolt you. Boom. All right, that looked kind of good. That looked very good, actually. Okay, so Essence Sliver looks very good. I think Lightning Ball looks great. Blue Elemental Blast, Hydroblast are big maybes. He does have a bunch of red cards, but the one that I'm the most scared of are the green cards. So that means that Hydroblast may be a little bit awkward. I do like Worship a lot, however. So we have Essence Sliver, we have Bolt. I think I do want Edict. I don't think I care about Disenchant. I know that he has the 5 mana Disenchant thingy, but Counterspell seems a little bit weak, particularly on the draw. I think on the play I'm going to be a lot more excited about Counterspell. But Blue Elemental Blast being able to answer both stuff both on the stack and on board is a big difference here. So I'm a lot more excited about Blue Elemental Blast than I am about Counterspell. And should I cut one of my slivers? Probably. I think I want to cut one Hibernation Sliver. Seems like the worst of them all. Yeah, this seems fine. Let's go with this. Okay, so now we're on the draw. This is a hand. Okay. I think I keep it. Like, this is a hell of a combo. Yeah, I think I keep this. Even though Undiscovered Paradise kind of punishing here. Well, that one also doesn't help. So let's go with Undiscovered Paradise anyway. Now, next turn I can go with Crystalline. I guess I should have gone Reflecting Pool first. It doesn't allow me to Hydroblast something, but it seems like I should have gone Reflecting Pool, then Thran Quarry. So now we can play Crystalline Sliver and we can get the party started. So now all my dudes are unkillable. Next turn, the Undiscovered Paradise is going to come back to hand, but then we can deploy the Wing Sliver or we can just cantrip, depending on what he does. If he plays a Baloth or a Blastoderm, we're going to be under a lot of pressure. Yeah, I kind of punish. I should have. I think I should have just given up on the fact that I can hold up Hydroblast and just assume that I can. Yeah, kind of punished here. So now we can go Wing Sliver and swing for 2, but kind of fallen a little bit behind. Like his clock is going to be pretty good. Blade Sliver is a great draw, however. Blade Sliver is a pretty great draw, so I can swing for 5 this coming turn, and then I can swing for 8 lifelink on the following turn, which may be able to swing a race. But yeah, this Undiscovered Paradise play on turn 1 a little bit tricky, right? Like I wanted to hold up Hydroblast, but maybe it was just not worth it. Maybe I was just better off. Okay, so I'm gonna have to Hydroblast that because I'm gonna get raised. Okay, that's a fine draw. So now we Hydroblast that, and now we go with Crystalline Sliver number 2. White blue, swing for 3, and then next turn we're gonna start to do some lifelink things. We're gonna need to dodge that sweeper that I can't remember the name of because it's gonna potentially blow us out pretty badly. I will need to find my other Hydroblast. Histrodon is very scary. So many crystallines. Alright, baby. Lifelink. Lifelink for the boys. Boom. I guess it's not lifelink. This actually triggered. That's true. I forgot about that. Like back in this time, lifelink was not actually was not a thing. Like it's actually a triggered ability. That's kind of brutal actually. It can definitely swing a race because it's a lot worse when you're blocking. So here we don't actually have lethal as far as he knows, but we actually do because of this Blade Sliver. So he thinks that he's going down to 1. I mean, he can obviously sack to the Baloth, so he can like stop it to an extent, but like I'm forcing him to start like sacrificing his board. Obviously that's very. He's gonna get draw a card from the Histrodon. I mean, I used to love this card so much when I was a kid. It was like the only good card that I owned. All of my other cards were just garbage, and this one was just like, no, like this one's actually doing something cool. No sweeper, please. Cross and Warch. Oof. Look at him getting ahead of mana right there. Another Paradise. All right. So play Blade Sliver. All the Sliver boys are now a little bit beefier, and he's gonna have to sack something in order to stay in the game. He only has to sack one beast, however. This is exactly what we were envisioning when we were when we were thinking of doing Tribal Wars. By the way, look at this. Look at all these synergies, right? Look at this stuff being his stuff being cheaper, and like him sacking stuff to like to the Bailoff and whatever. Like, this is gorgeous. This is exactly what we were hoping for. All right. I guess should I portent him or should I portent myself? I think portenting myself is more relevant. Shared Triumph. Yeah, this is fine because Shared Triumph is actually lethal. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing, right? Like it's gonna force him to like do awkward stuff. So I'm into that. So let's go top. Say no, and next turn we can go First Strike, Sliver, and Shared Triumph in the same turn. So we're not taking 9 this turn, but like this, I'm kind of scared of him drawing the sweeper because we're gonna lose to that sweeper. We're gonna lose badly to that sweeper. Also, Pyroclasm we would also lose to, but I mean I can't stop the history. Like this thing is beating me down. Essence Sliver is really doing it here. Blastoderm. All right, so he's gonna have to suck stuff. Oh, I'm definitely taking 5 here because that forces him to sack something else. So I can deal. This is 5 plus 4 plus 4. That is 14 plus 3 plus I can deal 21. Yeah, I'm definitely taking 5 here. Most definitely taking 5. And now we go Shared Triumph on Sliver. And I guess I'm gonna play Talon Sliver because it actually blocks really well now. But yeah, he's gonna have to sack way too much stuff. I don't think he's gonna be able to keep up with this. Okay, so he sacks Blaster to game 4. I think he can just literally sack everything and he's still dead. Okay, that he actually does sack everything and he's still dead. So that was cool. All right, didn't even gain the life. That was really nice actually. That worked out really, really nicely. Dude, that was something, huh?
that was so sick. Even though the beast got crushed, it was awesome. Like, yeah, if you don't have Essence Sliver there, it's probably a lot closer.
Yeah, Essence Sliver just like soloed that game. I mean, the opposite of that, because like it needed all the other dudes, but like it was Essence Sliver the one that really gave me the huge advantage there. Like otherwise, it would have been able to race me very, very easily, I think.
Yeah, that was awesome. Game 1 was a little tough, but I think it's just the evasion, right? Like flying's a problem, and then yeah, like I noticed the fires was in my hand. Like it was just a little clunky. You know, it's just
yeah, for sure. Being on the play was a big deal, and just like the fact that I had like, I mean, and that kind of looked impressive, right? Like I messed up in game number 2 even, where I led on Undiscovered Paradise because I wanted to hold up a Hydroblast, but I think that the correct line would have been for me to, because I had Reflecting Pool in hand. Like my hand was Undiscovered Paradise double Reflecting Pool. That was my mana. So what I should have done is I should have led on Reflecting Pool, because then I can draw Gemstone Mine or something like Thran Quarry on the following turn, and that all of a sudden means that I don't have to like return my land on turn 2 in order to cast my spell. So I think I have to forego casting a spell on turn 1 in order to actually have my curve worked out a lot smoother. So I think like that is the kind of stuff that, you know, it's not necessarily obvious to figure out when you just like look at the deck and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go like 1, 2, 3, and 4 and whatever. But actually, like how you sequence your lands seems like it matters a lot. Like there's like even like lands that you would not expect to want to be able to play in that order really pays you off when you do later in the game because of how everything ends up working out, you know. So it actually was very, very interesting. Like, you know, from your side you probably could not see all of these because you couldn't see my hand, but I was actually going through a lot of decisions in terms of sequencing and like, how do I deploy my slivers? Is it more important to have a like buffier sliver, or is it more important for me to like have a flying sliver, or to have like a +1/+0 sliver? Like that kind of stuff actually showed up multiple times in these like 2 games that I just played, which made things really, really interesting. But the deck kind of did something powerful, you know. I was very scared of the sweeper effect, obviously, and I was saying, you know, even a pyroclasm here just destroys me, you know. So obviously the deck has some that kind of weakness that literally every tribal deck has. Like that's just how tribal decks work. So it is to be expected. But once it is actually doing your thing, it really looked smooth and like tenacious. You know what I'm saying? Like it looked like it was doing its thing, and it was kind of unstoppable. It was like you needed that sweeper on that very turn, otherwise it was just like it was done. You know?
No, it felt like it was just like the Slivers deck felt like it was just like haymaker, haymaker, haymaker. Like even though it's just 1/1s and 1/2s and 2/1, like it felt like that, right? Because they all buff each other and then they're all flying. Now you're getting life. Like a lot of decks in pre-modern are going to struggle with what was going on. Then it was interesting to see, like, you know, some Sliver decks have like played Mox Diamond, but that was impressive. It doesn't like the mana seems fine, and maybe Mox Diamond could be a liability, right? Because you're pitching your land. Like, not every deck can just run Mox Diamond. Like, it's sometimes a liability, and that was impressive though. It felt like it. I talked through it too. I was just like, man, this feels like it's a beating, and I couldn't keep up. That's kind of what it felt like. I was always on the back foot. And yeah, it was impressive. I mean, like, even though it was just against the Beast deck, you know, it was very impressive. Like what you were doing would have been great versus like a blue-white control, and you know, it was impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And it was like a different approach. Like I've seen sliver decks with like tax rack and stuff like that, like, you know, using Mox Diamond, or just like straight up. I was thinking also of doing like a band sliver with like gush and things like that, and just like completely forego the red and the black, that would have made you lose. However, the hibernation sliver and the red sliver, the +1/+0 one. So you are missing a little bit for sure, right? You would need to play something like the 1/1, like the something sliver, the 1/1 that just has no abilities, the one that you can cast for colors. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, it's like silver or metallic sliver, right?
That's the one. Yeah. So you would need to do something like that because you still need your curve to be okay, and you need like as you saw right there, you need like a critical mass of actual dudes, so you can do your thing. So that was kind of interesting. One thing that I was thinking is like portent. I wonder if you want sleight of hand instead of portent in this deck specifically, because just being able to draw a card and be able to like get it immediately can matter a ton with this deck, because any new dude that you play has an immediate impact on the board because it buffs all of your other slivers. So like if you see, you know, in the top 3 cards, you see that there's like a flying sliver that you can play for the win, but you're getting that next turn. You're not getting it this turn. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to wait. You better be patient. So it looks like at less cards for sure, but it like the fact that you get the card right away, I can imagine, like, I can very easily imagine situations where it would be very, very, very valuable for you to get the card immediately, as opposed of you getting the card like, you know, next turn or whatever.
No, I agree. Yeah, that makes sense too, right? Especially like if it was like a critical turn, right, where you needed like the wing sliver or the pump sliver. It makes sense. It makes sense because even when you were casting portent, it seemed slightly awkward. It just like felt like it, right? Like anecdotally, like it was just like, you know, no evidence behind it, but it just felt like it, right? That's probably what you're speaking to. It just felt like sleight of hand would be better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I obviously have like one game in me with this deck, but it's just like a feel thing, you know. Like you play matches, and like after many years of playing, you kind of get a feel for how things go, or how you would imagine they would go. And it kind of gave me that vibe when I looked at it. And I'm a Portent believer, you know what I'm saying? Like I used to be a Portent non-believer, and then I was very much converted to believer in Portent. But in this particular case, it felt like the fact that the top of your deck impacts the board state so dramatically makes me consider the fact that maybe just having the card immediately may be more valuable than looking at more cards and getting some very, very solid card selection, which is as far as the beast deck goes. Honestly, like what it felt like, it was, you probably are supposed to just play a bunch of dudes. Like the charge was not it.
Right.
So
yeah.
that was my feel. Like I was just like, well, I mean, he can like start drawing cards, and he can like start to like get there, and then you play charge, and I'm like, oof, okay, so I'm good.
Yeah, right.
So it does feel like there may be something there, but like the way that you build the deck should probably be dramatically different. How did you feel about it?
No, I felt the same way. I boarded 2 out, and I just kept the 1 in, and I talked through it like, yeah. So maybe if the Chargers out, and you said you play more guys, probably more of the Wirewood Savage, the ones that draw with for when beasts enter, and then maybe like another overrun, because you can just like basically catch your guys, go wide, and then overrun. And like if you're playing against a deck with like no counter spells and stuff, it'd be fine.
Yeah, I was particularly impressed with like the Croson dude, right? Because that's the nice thing about, and why we see that in Goblins, for example, right? Where you have like, you know, it allows you to like double spell or even triple spell in some like mid to late game scenarios. Obviously haste is broken, but like, yeah, but even just like the mana that it generates, it is kind of valuable, right? And you were like in that last match, you play the Crossum, it's not Crossum Beast, like
War Chief.
There we go. Thank you. The actual Lord, right? And you started to like play, and you played like 3 beasts in a single turn, and I'm just like, damn, like that's kind of.
It felt pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I was looking at that. Maybe that's what he should be doing instead of playing with Aether charges and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So maybe just playing, you know, more of the 3/2 that puts counters for even the random 4/1. The random 4/1 trample, like that dude beats down. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's the approach.
No, yeah, like that felt like it was gonna beat down really fast, and I was just like, all right, this card's not that bad. Like trample's a big deal, and yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of nice. Cool. All right. So, any departing thoughts? Any spoilers about what the name, like spoil a little bit?
Maybe more Brew Wars.
Nice. All right. So yeah, so we have some ideas in the docket, so stay tuned. We have a bunch of out, and eventually we're planning to start repeating. Okay, like we're not that creative, so you're gonna have to give us a break. But hopefully you enjoyed this one. It was a ton of fun. Slivers is clearly, so you should just like go right now and buy your crystalline slivers before they spike. No, but in all seriousness though, this was a great time. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, folks, for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.